Okay, today we're going to take a look at the operation and repair of a buzzer robot. And in the case of the buzzer robot, it operated on 2 D-cell batteries, and it is a bump and go, and much like the directional robot, anytime the bump and go drive on the bottom turns, it will turn the head. The head has a light in it to light up the eyes and the mouth area, and the light in the dome top. And the light can be replaced by simply lifting this flap up on top, and it screws in, so it's easy to replace the bulbs. I'm going to do a demo of this working on the floor in just a second. I thought maybe first we take a peek going through what's on the inside, and hopefully we've got the right pictures here. Let's get the camera set up. I think maybe I can get even closer. How's that? So, like in many of these large skirted toys, the first thing you need to do is you're going to have to get in from the bottom. So the first thing you're going to need to remove is going to be this plate on the bump and go, because you can see how it flanges. You wouldn't be able to lift the next piece off. So you get that off, and then you've got to take all these tabs and carefully straighten all those. Let's see what the next image is. Here we are. So then you have these tabs, and these are bent up out of the way. Straighten all those tabs up and get them out of the way. Then you can lift the whole bottom plate off. Now you can get in there with your hands and your tools and straighten all these pieces on the side, so you can lift them up and out of the way. See, then you can get down to where you can remove the remaining tabs. Okay, now we're on to the inside of it. Basically, that's showing what they call it's called a buzzer robot, but it's actually a horn, just like you'd see on an old vintage battery-operated bicycle horn. And that's the back side of the horn. The main metal case of the horn is one side of the circuit, and the blue wire is another side of the circuit. The screw here is for adjusting the horn to get it to tweak right. So since this frame is connected to one side of the circuit, and they wanted to be able to turn this horn off and on anytime the head turns, they had to mount the horn to this fiber board, and then the fiber board mounts to the robot, because one side of the robot is going to be, well, in this case, positive ground is going to be positive. This wiper we're looking at here is the horn switch wiper. We're clear down near the bottom of the bump and go. This is the battery box. This is on the bottom side of the battery box. So anytime this fiber wheel turns, here's a brass contact or copper. I don't know if it's copper or brass, whatever. And here's one. Anytime they swing around and touch here, that completes the circuit. Like say, one side of the power is to the metal frame of the toy. This is the other side of the power. So this puts the power to, or grabs it from, the frame is already on here. The frame power comes up, completes the circuit. That goes back to the horn. So anyway, that's the horn switch. So anytime the bump and go turns, or the head turns to the side, the horn will sound. This is up near the top. See, this is the head. It's coming down the top of the battery box. This little wiper is a positive, because I say this is a positive ground toy in this case. This wiper is connected directly to the positive and rubs on this shaft to provide power to the light and to the motor on the frame side. This connection here and this connection in here, this ring, are to supply power also to the motor and to the light, but in this case it's ground, negative. I shouldn't say ground, it's negative. And there's wires soldered to this metal hoop, which is part of this frame but isolated from it, and they go into a hole, so one wire chases down and one wire chases up. Here's a better picture of it where you can actually see the two red wires coming off that ring. One will go down to the motor, one will go up to the light. The other side of the light is connected to the metal frame, which is the shiny part. The other side of the motor is connected to the metal frame, which is the shiny part. And it gives you another picture of the horn. Gives you another picture of the back side of the front. Here, again, you can see the wiper a little better right off the wiper. This wire, which went over to the horn, to complete the circuit anytime the head turned. A closer picture of the upper wiper. You had the two different voltages. I mean, this would be the frame wiper, the one that just rubbed on the pole, provide frame power, and this is the one that gave power to that ring that you saw, the on-off switch. Close up of the head. This is all before the robot was cleaned up. Now we're getting down to the drive, and one of the main problems on this toy was in the drive. There originally was a slip clutch over on this side, which really is another metal plate, a spring, and then a cap. And the reasoning behind that is if both wheels are locked to this drive shaft, if the robot hits something, they'll just want to keep both driving forward. But if one of the wheels can slip when it hits something, then the other one is going to force everything to walk and turn, thus your bump and go action. So this is the side that's pressed on solid. This is the main drive wheel that should always drive. Here's a view up that top where I was telling you that the cap could open. So you can get in, you can screw in a new lamp. This would be the wire that goes up to the lamp. The other side of the lamp gets its power through the metal of the head, which connects to the metal here, which connects to the metal here, and gets rubbed on by that little wiper. Inside the head. Again, all pictures before it's cleaned up. Now we're back down to the bump and go drive where we were earlier. A number of issues were going on in here. One, a lot of tooth wear in the one place, so I repositioned this pinion gear when it rubs on this crown gear when things are assembled, so it wouldn't be running in the worn out place. And then two, I needed to do something about the missing slip clutch for that wheel. And then after I got everything together, you can see this blue wire is actually that red wire that we saw earlier up at the ring. They splice right there. But the other side of the motor's wire, they soldered right to the frame of the motor, and their thought was that the metal motor would contact this metal, and this metal is connected to that, so that gives it the final frame voltage. But as I found out when it was all done, that didn't work very well. The motor was still running sluggish even after having spray cleaned the brushes and everything else. So in the end, I ended up adding a wire from here and actually soldering it to the metal frame rather than just relying on the friction fit, and that really brought the motor to life. Another view of where the slip clutch would have been. You see these three indents? There would have been another metal ring that indented into those, and then the spring pushing on that, and then a cap holding the spring in place. So normally this wheel would be locked by those indents, but if it hit against a wall or something, because of the spring, the indents could slip up off, allowing the wheel to slip and then lock back up once it's free of whatever it's run into. The only way, this is showing the slop in it, the way I received it without anything there, tipping it one side to the other. The only way I was able to repair it enough to get to work was to 3D print a cap part. In this case, I pressed it on, and I'm just relying on a friction fit. One, it holds the wheel taut straight so it isn't sloppy, and normally provides drive to both wheels, and if it does hit something on the wall, then this can slip and allow the wheel to turn. There it is in CAD basically. And I think these are just some close-ups of the head and things that need to be cleaned up, and now we're on to a different project. So that's that. Let's get on to actually the demo of the toy, which is probably what a lot of you were here for. Okay, I guess to do this, I may have to, who knows what, let's aim this down at the floor, and it's going to be hard for me to tell what's in frame and what's not, but hopefully this will work out. And I'll just use myself as a bump and go for it. So the on switch, there she goes. So you see it really moves along quite well, and basically whenever the head would turn, then you would get the light. And that is your buzzer robot.